everyone, you're here with Rich, and thanks for stopping by Living in Tin or the Airstream Chronicles. Right now, I'm sitting in front of my computer. I got the microphone sitting over here, and I'm doing something a little different. Today, I downloaded Lightroom 6, so it is out there, and it's also known as LightroomCC. And we're going to be updating the tutorial that we did recently, Lightroom for the Road. So right now I've got my screen up here with a couple of images that we've shot over the past few weeks. And let's see here, handy dandy SanDisk card. So I'm going to pop this in. I made the announcement the other day that I'm going to spend a week just shooting with Canon G11. I've never been really good with that particular camera. I'm much more comfortable shooting with the 5D or the 7D or the 40D, so all my digital SLRs, very comfortable with them. And I said, you know, I've had this G11, I've used it for when I'm mountain biking or taking a hike and I don't want to carry the big gear. And yeah, I've also used it kayaking, but it's kind of stayed packed away in my bag for a while, so I've resurrected the G11. And right over here, there you go, there's the G11. Nice little camera. I'm still working out what I do and don't like with it because I've been pushing it today, doing a lot of raw images. So we're doing a quick sneak peek here. We will be launching a Lightroom 6 for the road in a couple weeks on Living in Tin. And so this is kind of a preview. So we're going to go nuts and bolts on Lightroom 6. We're going to do it right from the beginning, so if you've never used it before, you're going to be very comfortable with it by the time you're done watching the video. So this video, I just want to show you real quick. I've imported some images, so we're switching over to looking at the images here. And these are all shot with the G11 today, so pop the card in. On the left-hand side, we've got from Canon DC. The center area, we've got that we're copying it to my library, and on the right hand side we are copying it to my portable drive called 2015 Lightroom. I'm not going to import any duplicates, and I'm going to pop some keywords in here and make sure that my metadata has my copyright. Alright, so keywords here, even though it already records that, experiment, Prescott, Arizona, AZ, Airstream, because we're working on it in the Airstream, and just do a little photography. Alright, so that's enough keywords for me to be able to find these pretty quickly, plus we also know it's coming from the G11. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the import button, and this is going to take a minute, so we're doing the current import. While we're waiting on the import, so I got really excited reading about Lightroom 6. That they were including a native HDR feature. I played with it earlier today, and I'm sorry to say, but it's not doing much for me. I like to stylize a little more, but that might change by the time that I complete the Lightroom 6 for the Road series. So we'll see. But here we are. We've got some images pulled in. So I was just playing around today with how I would do an HDR with the G11. Number one, if you want to shoot HDR, high dynamic range, you are not going to hold the G11, okay? So I don't know what the improvements are with the latest versions of the Canon G series, but it's a little slow on the shutter, so hand holding for a HDR with this particular camera is out the window. Don't even think about it. So what I had to do is break out the tripod, which, hey, if you want really sharp images anyways, you're going to break out a tripod. So let's just take a look at this first one, and I'm just going to select these three images. So I just did a shift click for all three of them. I'm going to right click here, and I'm going down to this new feature in Lightroom 6, Photo Merge. So I'm going to hit HDR, and I don't think I'm going to need much in the way of deghosting. So I've got this set to auto align. Even though I shot it with the tripod, maybe I nudged the tripod while it was being shot, so I'd rather have the auto align, and I'm going to have it do auto tone as well. And we're just doing a little deghosting in case those little tree pieces were moving around, because if they're moving around frame to frame, you're going to see that. And so there we go. There's there's the HDR options. I'm going to go ahead and merge them and see what Lightroom gives me. I did a couple tests earlier today before this series of photos, and didn't really work great for me, but I've already watched a couple of videos about this. So one option is to do a little more editing and post-processing in Lightroom. And so the reason I was excited was I'd like to have this all self-contained in Lightroom instead of exporting to this program or exporting to that program. Alright, so it has finished it, so I'm going to go to all photographs, and the photograph labeled image underscore 0829 dash HDR. Now, one of the interesting things here is that this is a DNG, so we are preserving the full spectrum. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select the 0, so when you overexpose, underexpose, and properly expose, I'm going to select the proper exposure. I just want to get a look at these two and see what's happening. So, yeah, here we are on the left-hand side, and I've got a high dynamic range image now. And it is really taking a lot of shadow out. So on the right-hand side, this is the normal exposure, what the camera is giving me. You know, no over or under. So it's a lot darker underneath the Airstream awning, so it really pulled that detail out. But I am personally not digging it. It feels kind of flat. So one thing that I could do with this, so I just went to the single image. I'm going to hit back to my tab here. I'm just going to hit the D key for the develop module. So, like I said, I'm not super thrilled with this. And it's also not a great shot, so don't think that we were trying our hardest here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this because it looks a little off. And yeah, I'm just not digging. It really kind of took some of the really cool clouds out. Let's go look at the underexposure real fast. I'm just going to click on the underexposure. And look how cool the clouds look in there. So a lot more detail, some edginess. So what I could possibly do is grab myself a brush, and I'm going to set it to burn. So I've got the brush tool, and I'm just going to burn down the sky a little bit to darken it. And I'm going to go ahead and burn the trees too. And we're not really seeing much of it because we don't have it ratcheting down that far. So I'm going to take a look right here. So let's point at that bad boy. And okay, I didn't paint right there. So now let's check and just see. Alright, I covered a lot of the area. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the exposure a bit because I would like a richer sky going on here. I think I'm going to pop the clarity up a bit too because I like cool clouds. What can I say? I'm even I'll push the saturation just a touch, but not much. And actually the Airstream is looking a little dark to me, or a little bright to me as well. I'm going to pull that exposure back, and I'm going to turn the brush off, and I'm going to go into the basics here. I am actually going to pull the exposure down just a bit. I'm a little happier with the Airstream now. And shadows, I'm actually going to go ahead and have a little bit deeper of shadows, and I'm starting to get satisfied with this. Push the clarity just a little more for a little more edge to it. Now it's getting overly edgy, but I think you're getting the idea here. But overly edgy is kind of like that overly edgy HDR look as well. I'll pull that back. We'll hit the vibrance just a touch more, and let's go ahead and compare that to the proper exposure. So I'm just gonna get out of the develop module, and I'm going to go ahead and select with the command the proper exposure. I'm kind of digging that. So alright, we've got a little more detail and definition in those clouds that were completely blown out in the proper exposure. Thing is, with or without the new HDR feature, I most likely could have pulled off the same results just using Lightroom on the single exposure. We'll talk a lot more about that in the upcoming series Lightroom for the Road. So keep your eyes open for that. I'll be announcing it on the Airstream Chronicles, and I'll be posting it at Living in Tin. So pop on by livingin10.com if you haven't already. That's our new premium site, and we cover where to go and what we're shooting. So alright folks, thanks for popping into the video. Hope you like the new workspace, and I hope this isn't a little too awkward. We've got the GoPro hanging by a clip at a strange angle, so I'm going to see what this looks like when I finish up. Actually, I can see what it looks like right now because got it running in the background on the iPhone. So a little fun stuff. We might talk about that sometime too. Alright, thanks for popping by.